Hi, happy Thursday. I hope wherever you are that you and your loved ones are safe and well, that you're having a good week and a good day, or at the very least that you're hanging in there. Um, I wanted to talk about something I watched last night. I saw this great webinar that was run, it was a Zoom webinar run by the US Pain Foundation, and it was a panel of the moderator and three people in healthcare. And it was very interesting to hear each of their perspectives on taking care of the pain patient and and dealing with people that are going through all of these different issues. And at one point, someone in the audience asked the question, how do I begin the conversation with my doctor about pain management? And or something to that effect. And one of the panelists said, they gave an answer, and then they said, but if, basically, how do I advocate for myself? And so the person said, well, if you can't advocate for yourself, who's going to advocate for you? And it sounded, that's fair, if I'm not going to make a case for myself. But then as I was standing there, I was like, wait. And then one of the other panelists kind of started going back and forth, like, it's very hard when you're vulnerable to make a case for yourself and to be at your best to be able to have this conversation, this hard conversation, so that you are getting what you need. They also spoke about how in an ideal situation, healthcare would be interdisciplinary. The patients dealing with pain would get, physical therapy, and psychotherapy, or, some kind of therapeutic care so that you can deal with everything that's happening, acupuncture, things like that. It was great. But then they acknowledged that practice, as that sounds, does not exist. There are places that offer those things, whether they're available depending on your insurance, is a whole other story. And so it was such a good, it was a good reality check for the healthcare industry if they were listening, because these were healthcare providers and patients that have lived with pain or dealt with patients in pain for a very long time. And we're trying to put a hard spotlight on the things that are wrong. And but I was thinking, when she said, if you can't advocate for yourself, in those moments, like I remember, and I've told this story, I've written about this story, but when my daughter was a baby and we were going to the doctor for me and pain and everything, and I was trying to find the right doctor, and so I went to this idiot. I'm going to put doctor in quotes because whatever. But my daughter at the time was only saying dada. She was not saying mama at all. And I went to this doctor, and it was so demeaning. It was humiliating. And he basically said that I was overweight, and if I could get off my backside and stop eating bonbons and everything, I would, my health would be so much better. And so I was sitting there and I was like, wow, ouch, that really hurt. And so I was thinking, okay. And I was trying to ask questions, and he was ignoring me. He was talking to the medical student, who was so horrified. He didn't know what to do. And at that moment, I hear my daughter saying, mama, mama. And I look over and I'm like, this is the universe's way of telling me to distract me so I don't punch this person for calling me overweight and, lazy and, just trying to, I don't know what, milk the system for whatever I could, because I was just overweight and lazy, and that's why I was in pain. So it's like, wow, man. And also I was a hysterical woman, so if I could get my emotions under control, my pain would go away. So I was thinking, wow, you're a jackass and an ignorant idiot. Anyway. But then as soon as I focused on my daughter saying dada, or mama, then she started saying dada again, and she laughed. So I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is such a funny moment, because I thought this was a way for me to calm down. But fast forward a lot of years in my medical life, where I've seen a lot of doctors, a lot of nurses, a lot of social people, a lot of radiologists, a lot of specialists of all kinds, back, orthopedic, foot, you name it, I've been there. In my pain journey, these pain people, and cardiology, whatever. But the thing is, when you're on the bed and not sitting, wearing a lab coat and everything, it's super easy to expect people to be ready and calm and able to function well. And it's just not realistic. And it depends on my doctor. When I went to get my medical marijuana card, when I went for that appointment, I brought my daughter with me because I was like, I needed another set of ears. And I hated having to ask her that because I thought, this is terrible that I'm asking her to go to this appointment, because I still felt so much shame about it. And which is idiotic, I know. But there we were, and we're sitting there, and she said, we were talking about this last night after I told them what I heard in the conference, and she said I was very calm and I handled myself really well, but my internal monologue was hysterical. I was shaking, like outwardly shaking, because I thought I have to make the case for myself that I'm not just trying to get a card for no reason. And then, you know, like before that appointment, my doctor was like, you are a candidate. You have multiple overlapping diagnoses that make you a candidate. Turns out, I mean, the doctor was lovely. He was amazing, and he said, "You're fine." He said, "You meet the criteria." He said, "I just want to talk to you and go through all this." And so I was thinking, you know, when you're across from a doctor, especially when you don't know, they don't know you, and they're seeing you for 5 minutes, 10 minutes max. And like, if you looked at me right now, would you be able to tell I was in pain? I don't think so, unless you have like radiology, you know, X-ray vision. But right now my foot's at a 6 out of that stupid 10. My back is like a 5, 6, 4, 5, you know, somewhere depending on how I move. I haven't slept because my back hurts so badly and I can't get comfortable now. And it's like, would I make a good case for myself if you were just listening to me? Would you believe me? And in that 5 or 10 minute, you know, or if let's say I'm really nervous and I'm not getting the whole story out, or I start giving you more information and you have other patients you have to see, it's a very vulnerable moment. And there's this collision of this doctor running through their day, trying to see all their patients, a person who's trying to make the doctor understand where they are in their life and their pain and their health. And it's this intersection of mess, truthfully, the way the healthcare industry works right now. And I don't really blame every doctor, because I feel like they do what they can, but some of them are very kind and wonderful and try to hear as much as they can of the story, or they have their residents or their medical students come in and take your history, and then they talk, and then they try to come in and get the most from you. But it's a very vulnerable thing to be an advocate for yourself in those moments, and it's easy to plan. I make a list of all my questions. If it's a crazy appointment, or I feel like I'm like a pre-op appointment, I bring somebody else with me because I need another set of ears, because I am not listening 100%. I'm nervous. But you know, and as far as the interdisciplinary, like, it took me years to go to therapy because I couldn't find a therapist that I didn't feel like that judged me because of the pain, and didn't feel like that I was just, that didn't believe me at face value. And it's terrible, and I just refused to go. And then, or I hate physical therapy, you know what I mean? I would do the physical therapy, but did I keep it up as much as I could have? Probably not, because I hated it and it hurt, and I didn't want to inflict more hurt on my body. Acupuncture, I've never been offered acupuncture. You know, I could probably go, but I'd have to pay for it. And it's like, these things are expensive. Physical therapy is expensive. Even going to therapy, that was expensive. You know what I mean? And you're paying, you have co-pays and stuff, but the co-pays aren't cheap. And so it's like all of these things add up, and it's just this. Here in America, the healthcare system is a disaster, and for so many people. And so there is no magical interdisciplinary place that serves everybody equally. That doesn't exist anywhere. And you get what you need, and people believe you, and they listen. And like, you might find that in different offices, but you're not finding that in one place. If there is a place like that, please tell me where it is, because I will absolutely, you know, refer people to them. The other thing they brought up is it depends on where you are. Where do you live? Like, if you don't like your doctor, or if you feel like your doctor's not listening to you, and if that's the one doctor in the town or the city where you live, or you have to drive 3 and 4 hours, and everyone's trying to get to this one doctor, it's not a good situation at all. So people that are living with pain, you're living with pain, you're trying to manage that pain, you're trying to convey that to people and make people understand where you're coming from and believe you. And it's not an easy gig to have, believe me. And but as I was listening to that, I was thinking, and I started to write a comment. I was like, wait a second, do you get run over by doctors? And then I was like, wait, it wasn't meant maliciously, obviously. And they, you know, they had a wonderful banter back and forth about it. And but I was thinking, people that are hearing that maybe can't bring somebody with them, you know what I mean? People have to work, they have children, they, you know, they can't take a day off from their jobs. It's hard enough to get an appointment, and so when you get the appointment, you're bringing somebody, you know what I mean? It's not always an easy thing. And then with COVID, you can't. Some offices, like I couldn't bring anybody with me to. Not that I would, because my appointments have been so simple. And even when I got my shots, you know, my mom wanted to come, my daughter wanted to come, you know, everybody wanted to come with me. But it's like I couldn't even bring them with me because COVID completely was like, you can't. You know, the only time they would let anybody bring someone with them is if they physically needed help getting in and out of the office. And so I was thinking that made it hard for other people who really needed that backup. Anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to get those thoughts out because I was thinking, you know, it's easy to say, like, yes, we have to be an advocate for ourselves in these moments, in these vulnerable moments. And what I would suggest to you, if you're going to a doctor's appointment, if you can bring somebody with you, do that. Absolutely do that, because it is helpful to have another set of ears and somebody to just back you up and boost you up in those moments, especially if it's a new doctor or it's a scary appointment or pre-op or you're getting test results that they may not be good, or even if they are good but you're nervous, bring somebody with you if you can, if you're allowed, especially with COVID still happening. Write as many questions as you can down. And really, and it's hard to say, well, wait, I have another question, but really make them and write down the answers and just say, I'm trying to write this down. I mean, I always say, like, I need to write it down so my husband can hear about it later because I'm not going to remember it. You know, take pictures of, you know, if they're showing you a test result, take a picture of it and just say, you know, I have to show so-and-so, or just for yourself, but until you can get a copy of it, take a picture of it if you can. And before you, like, when the doctor says, do you have any questions, take a breath, like, take a minute and, like, ground yourself, because especially if you're on your own, you know, I do have questions, let me get them out of my pocket, wallet, bag, whatever, and then just take a minute to, you know, recenter yourself if you can, if you need to, because it is easy to get lost in that shuffle, and they're in a rush, you know, you're in a rush to get your questions answered, but it's just a very vulnerable place. And so my thoughts on that are, you know, there is no easy fix. I wish there was an easy fix, because it would be lovely for so many people to be able to have an easier appointment. I'm a big person, like, advocate for yourself and be an advocate for other people, and that's hard to do that. And I know in my video a couple weeks ago I was all fired up about it, but it's hard to do that. It's hard to do it for yourself. It's hard to, you know, it's easier to do it for other people because, you know, they're feeling vulnerable and you can be all fired up on their behalf, which I am only too happy to do. But anyway, that's what I was thinking about. I encourage you to watch the webinar. I'm going to try to find the link for it if it's up yet. And if it's not, I will put it up when it is up, because it was, you know, last night. But anyway, they're a great group, the U.S. Pain Foundation. They've always got good speakers, and, you know, it's just interesting to hear what's happening elsewhere in the country and in the world and what people are dealing with. And I think I've come so far in my medical journey that I forget that, because I don't like to rock the boat, so to speak. I think I forget, like, you know, about the physical therapy and everything else, because I don't like to do it. So, you know, the interdisciplinary, it would be great if all of this was available to everybody, no matter what your medical issue is. or even for stress and things like that. But there's such a stigma with mental health, especially like trying to get therapy for yourself. It's not easy even in 2021 to make that case to be able to get therapy for yourself. So America has a long way to go. I can only speak for the way it is here in America. I know other countries sort of look at us like, how do you screw that up? You know what I mean? And we screw things up very well here. But healthcare is just, it's so unequal and such a mess. But anyway, that's another whole vlog, you know, book, encyclopedia. Anyway, I hope wherever you are that you are having a low pain, no pain, low aggravation, no aggravation kind of a day, kind of a week, kind of a weekend, because that's what we hope for. That's what we deserve. I hope that you're all doing okay, and that you don't have a lot of rocks in your backpack tonight. And I will talk to you tomorrow via the blog, next week for another video, and that's all I've got. Be well. Bye.